Russ, so great to have you on the podcast. How's it going?
Hey Jared, I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Super excited. Let's dive right in. First off, if you don't mind just giving a quick background on you in case this is the first interaction some of our listeners are having with you, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the co-founder, CEO of a company named LiveKit, and what LiveKit does is it builds infrastructure that makes it easy for developers to create real-time multimodal AI applications. So we do that in kind of two ways. We provide a transport layer for sending all of that audio and video over the network. It's very different from the way a typical web application works. And we also provide a framework on clients and on the server that makes it easy to build those applications that use that kind of transport layer, that network that we provide. Started off as an open source project and now have both open source and also a commercial kind of cloud hosted version of that infrastructure.
And what was, I know you kind of led into how this all came to be, but what was the that aha moment that's like, I need to make this into a company?
Oh, wow. I think there were two aha moments for us. The first one was when we launched the open source project. It was the summer of 2021. So we were working on side projects. All those side projects needed kind of real-time audio and video infrastructure. And we found out that, middle of the pandemic, there really wasn't any open source infrastructure that made using audio and video over the internet easy, real-time audio and video. And so we worked on this open source project, we launched it, it kind of blew up on GitHub, and we had real companies starting to use it. So eBay and X started to explore it. I think they were still called Twitter back then. Reddit started to explore it as well, Spotify. And when we had these real companies starting to look at it, we had conversations with them and they said, hey, we would prefer that you deploy and scale this for us as a cloud service instead of us having to deploy and scale it internally. And so that was the kind of the initial impetus to go and raise around, turn it into a company, really with the intention that here was a sustainable path for us to make money that allowed us to continue to work on the open source project for the next decade, 2 decades. And so that was great. And that was the original motivation for it becoming a company. There was another motivation point about a year and a half later where we had built a demo that when ChatGPT, the website first came out, we built a demo that used our infrastructure to stream audio from the user's device to the server and then stream voice back from the AI model. So it would effectively take the user's voice, convert it into text, plug it into ChatGPT, and then take all the tokens coming out of ChatGPT, convert that back into voice, and send that voice over LiveKit's network. And so we built this demo called Kit, after like Knight Rider Kit, but also a play on LiveKit, of course. And OpenAI ended up finding that demo, and we started to work with them pretty closely on voice mode. And fast forward to today, we now power all of advanced voice as the transport layer for in the ChatGPT app. But that was kind of a second motivating point in that, okay, like our infrastructure can be used for more than just video conferencing or live streaming. It actually can be used for building multimodal AI. And if you think about what's happening in AI, the models are becoming smarter and smarter. And as the model becomes smarter and more human-like, no longer do we have to kind of adapt to the computer, like using a keyboard and a mouse to give it information. Instead, we can use our natural inputs and outputs to give it information, and it can use the same inputs and outputs to give us information back. So we use eyes, ears, and mouths to communicate information. And kind of the future of AI is using cameras, microphones, and speakers instead of the keyboard and the mouse. That's the equivalent of ears, and a mouth for a human-like computer. And so being infrastructure that kind of powers that underneath is the kind of the next era or the next chapter for LiveKit as a company.
Super interesting. Yeah, it's I mean, it's just crazy. Just even the advanced voice mode with OpenAI, right? It's been pretty incredible how much it's like continued to improve too since long. Like it is awesome. I had a I've heard people that are having their kids talk to it to like learn new things, which is, I mean, think about
I
like the 5-year-old asking why for everything. They're gonna be so smart because they're gonna learn every.
it's insane. I do this exact thing too. It's my favorite use case for advanced voice and even voice mode before it, which is I'll be in the car for 45 minutes on like a commute or a drive, and I'll just like I'll pop an AirPod in and I'll start to have a conversation with this super smart tutor that I can ask it any question and it just doesn't judge me, right? Like you've been in school or in a professor, like in an auditorium where a professor's like any questions and everyone's too embarrassed to ask questions. In these like drives I do, I learn about, like CRISPR, I learn about nuclear fusion, and I can ask any kind of question. I can have it pause, I can have it repeat any small thing that might not have made sense. It's going to absolutely revolutionize education, just because today education, for children and students is a one size fits all system. But now you can have like the smartest teacher adapted to exactly how you learn and absorb information and at the pace at which you do. Um, and everyone can have that. It's going to be amazing.
And yeah, and how you want to learn. Like, is there someone that you like their teaching style, and you want that type of person to teach you? I did that the other day just for fun because I was watching the Celtics game, and one of the players, Jalen Brown, was a big fan of Bill Nye growing up. So we took a picture with Bill Nye at the Wizards game. I was like,
Oh,
oh, I
nice.
remember Bill Nye. Like all his video, like if there was a substitute teacher, they popped in a Bill Nye video, and you watch that and you learn something, right? But so I
Totally.
started doing that for like I was doing more research on small modular reactors,
Oh,
and I
wow.
said, but teach it to me like Bill Nye, and it was just incredible. It was kind of goofy, but I actually picked up on a lot of the concepts way more quickly as a result because they were comparing it to like a large when you're building these nuclear energy power plants. That's like building the stadium, and the small modular reactor is like building a basketball court in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
That's no, that's amazing. I hadn't thought about that actually. Just that you can kind of do this style transfer with. It's more than just. It goes beyond like just speaking like someone using their voice, right? Like cloning their voice. It's about yeah, like imitating their methods, right? Or style of communication. And I mean, I have friends who are huge fans of like Richard Feynman, and like I hadn't thought about trying like to say, hey, like teach me this concept like Feynman would teach it or something like that, and then see what it does. I'm gonna try that next time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's sometimes it says it can't, right? Because like I said, like create like an episode. Whenever you start to bring in something that's like heavy, like copy, like make it an episode of Friends, make it an episode of this. Sometimes it'll create like an adaptation of it, but they'll be like, can't do that. Like that's so basically you can tell which ones they maybe got in trouble with and which ones they're okay with, based on that. But yeah, it helps
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. It is fairly clamped down. I've run in sometimes into uh, those kind of limitations and where it can't do certain things as well. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and then sometimes there's some finagling, right? Like I can't do that. I tell you what to do. Yes, you can. And sometimes it'll be like, okay, I can't. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. It's like what's the prompt injection that's going to get this get around the constraints? Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
it's just totally wild to think that like last night I'm having just a conversation with a computer going back and forth like it's this normal. It's literally that like what was that movie like Her? Remember the where he falls in love with his computer? But like it's just crazy that you're conversing and asking questions, and it's like even very human like. It's incredible.
I know, and I think like the kind of the one interesting thing about advanced voice now, the fact that the model kind of it's trained in like this way where it has text and audio embeddings, co-located, so it can take in audio directly. It doesn't have to convert it into text first. What's amazing about that is that the model can actually pick up on expressive elements in your voice that you can't really easily represent as text, like the prosody or like the cadence in which you speak. If you're excited or you're kind of down or sad, the model can actually pick up on that in your voice, and respond in the same way or in a similar way. And so, like I think it almost feels like you have this empathetic computer. It can speak to you in a very human-like way. And when that happens, it kind of, I don't know, like it relaxes you a bit. There's a different kind of relationship that you feel to that computer. In the same way that they used to call the iPhone like the most personal device that you own. This is like a next step, like where in software, it's not just a personal device you own because of the hardware and you carry it with you in your pocket everywhere. It's now even more personal because the way that the software works and responds and interacts with you feels just so much more human. So yeah, it's a huge paradigm shift.
I have to ask Russ, by the way. So if anyone's not tuning into the video portion of this, go check out the video portion. That's a pretty cool shirt. Tell me about that.
Oh.
Hackathon. Tell me about that hackathon.
Nice. Yeah, we went to XAI's. Me and a coworker went to the XAI hackathon that they did. They actually did it in the original OpenAI office in San Francisco, and so what we wanted to go build there was effectively like build something that used voice, that used real-time voice, and using the Grok API that they launched at the hackathon. And so I found out that Teslas actually have a API. Most people don't know this. Even some of the Tesla engineers or XAI engineers there didn't know that Tesla had an API. But so you can load effectively access to the vehicle, certain aspects of the vehicle, into the car. You can actually set the permissions properly so you can access it. So I took my co-founder's Tesla and we built a voice assistant or a voice agent that you can manipulate the Tesla from outside the car. So you can say, hey, honk the horn or turn on the lights or open the trunk or open the doors. Where are you right now? And it'll tell you its location in the world. And it's pretty cool, being able to kind of physically manipulate this thing. It felt a little Iron Man-y, right? I got this robot on wheels and I can make it do stuff just by commanding it to do stuff. So that was pretty awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's
And all I won at the hackathon was this lousy shirt. That's
what?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it is a nice shirt though. So
it is a sweet shirt. It's a sweet shirt.
I did not know Tesla had an API. I mean, it makes sense though.
It makes sense. It's a rolling computer, right? And so, yeah, they didn't for the longest time, and then they rolled one out, and it's becoming more and more powerful. If you look at a lot of the capabilities that the car will let you support, if you have the right permission level, it's pretty cool.
But they're not necessarily letting outside other than the hackathon go and build new applications, right? With that, or are they?
For the Tesla API?
Yeah.
Oh no, that they totally are. That's was not even part of the XAI hackathon. I just found it kind of Googling around as an idea to kind of merge together Grok with the Tesla. I heard that they're building Grok support into the actual Tesla, maybe in the infotainment system or whatever. But yeah, it was that doesn't exist yet, and so it was pretty cool to build something there.
It's kind of interesting when you look at all of Musk's companies, because they're all separate, but they're all working with each other in different ways. So it's really this multi-trillion-dollar enterprise in a way, right? Which is pretty it's wild.
Oh yeah, I think it is. I don't think that he planned it. I mean, I don't want to count Musk for not planning it. Maybe he did, but I would be surprised if he planned that they would just kind of all, almost kind of integrate together or kind of feed off each other in the way that they have been so far. But it is amazing. There is this overlap, and he can leverage a lot of the tooling and infrastructure that he's built at each of these companies to accelerate an effort at another one of the companies. I think that my bet is that like in I don't know, the next 10, 15, 20 years, Tesla and SpaceX will be the two most valuable companies in the world. That's my bet.
Yeah, it's definitely there. So I told you I'm in Florida now, but originally from Boston. In our building is where, remember, ARC?
The browser?
No, the hedge
Arc, yeah,
fund.
the investment hedge fund, yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
Kathy Wood, they moved here. So her office is right in our building here,
no way.
in St. Pete, Florida, believe it or not.
Wow.
But I know she's definitely someone that is hoping that your prediction comes true.
I hope so for Kathy, though. I did tax loss harvest all of my ARC
Hey, they had
at the end of 2022.
they had a rough, but see, she was always that was kind of how her fund operated though. Like when there were some big bets made, and when they did well, they did well. When they didn't do well, they were really down. So,
Totally.
although Tesla's been good for her recently. Um,
I'm
so
just a horrible investor, so I didn't have the loan. I didn't have the the hodl mentality for that one.
uh, Russ, before we wrap up, this has been an awesome conversation. I hope to have you on again soon to dive into some other stuff as well. But what are you looking forward to in terms of the HumanX conference happening in March?
I think what I'm really excited about for HumanX is just like the number of founders, investors, companies that are going to be there who are working just at the forefront of AI. This is the hottest kind of technology wave, in my opinion, probably the last technology wave ever, and the people coming to this conference are kind of like at the peak of this wave, like riding that wave, and so I'm just really excited to meet a lot of folks there that I haven't met already, and learn from people that are kind of working in the space and in different areas that LiveKit and myself haven't focused on too much, and see like what kind of opportunities there are for just cross-pollination of ideas, right? Like you talk about the Musk companies all connecting up to one another. I think like when you meet folks that are working on different pieces in this ecosystem, you start to connect the dots a bit better. And so I'm excited to just be among this amazing group of people.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be here before we know it, which is crazy to think, but
Yeah, I know.
we'll see you there. Thanks so much.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much. Great talking.